Am I the a-hole for telling my friend her parents bought her house, not her? Am I the a-hole for telling my wife's friend she is too old and ugly after she repeatedly asked my 19-year-old son to take off his shirt? He was getting uncomfortable. Am I the a-hole? I didn't attend my son's wedding. I instead spent the evening with his ex-wife. Quick backstory. After graduating high school, my son moved 3 states away for college. At 19, he married a girl he met. I tried convincing him to wait because I personally felt he was too immature. They dropped out and moved back here to his hometown. At 20, they had their first child, a beautiful little girl. 16 months later, my dad-in-law gave birth to their second child, a little boy. After the first baby, my wife and I noticed our dad-in-law wasn't happy. We both thought it was PPD related. Just after the second arrived, my son and his wife separated. She would bring the kids over for a visit. It was then she begun unloading on us. I know there's 2 sides to every story, but considering I know my son, I believed her. I sat my son down numerous times to speak with him regarding his marriage. He refused to take responsibility, blamed her for everything, even when I directly pointed out where he was the sole problem. They got into counseling. For a year, things were okay on the surface. Our dad-in-law filed for divorce. My son, 3 days later, was on Facebook announcing his new girlfriend. A month later, they were engaged. My son had forced his then-wife to become a permanent stay-at-home mom at the birth of their first child. She, of course, had no other family or friends here. She knew no one aside from us. She had nowhere to go with 2 small children. Unbeknownst to our son, my wife and I helped her financially and got her an apartment. Before the divorce was even finalized, we received a wedding invitation. I made it clear to my son I would not be attending and they would not have my blessing. His mother told him she would see to it that I would attend. I stayed consistent in my decision. I also asked him not to bring his fiancée around our house out of respect for the mother of his children. The wedding happened on February 11th. The night before, my wife gave me the final push. I did not attend. Our daughter also did not attend for the same reasons. My wife picked up our grandkids, got them dressed, and attended the wedding. My daughter and I decided to spend the evening with his ex. I couldn't imagine her sitting alone while her kids attended their father's wedding. She was taken aback that I didn't end up attending his wedding. We took her out to distract her mind. I just wanted her to know she'll always be considered family to us. My daughter also made a joke they can drop the in-law status and just be sisters now. She was very tearfully grateful. I realized just how badly she needed our support, and specifically on that night. The next morning, my son called to tell me how much of a horrible father I am for not attending his wedding. A few days later, he caught wind that I spent the wedding evening with his ex. He said that was the ultimate form of betrayal, and further, myself and his sister would have to earn a relationship with him on his terms only. I don't know, weddings are a weird spot. I'm gonna say not the a-hole because your son just seems like a tool. Not the a-hole. This is funny. You have to earn a relationship on his terms. I think he needs to check his offering. He's way overvaluing what he brings to the table. Not the a-hole. It sounds like you're a reasonable parent who acknowledges when your kid is being an idiot. I don't see anything wrong with you choosing to support the mother of your grandchildren who he seems to have left in a bad spot. Honestly, mad respect to this dad. Like, just insane work. Am I the a-hole for wearing a wedding dress at a wedding? So, my friend, 20, female, and I, 19, male, have been friends for a few years, and she recently got engaged. A week ago, I got a DM from her for a small costume party she was hosting as a celebration for her getting engaged. I asked if there was a theme, and she said there wasn't. I'm a cosplayer, so I had a lot of choices. I didn't want to rock up in an anime cosplay, so I thought it would be funny to go in an engagement party as the corpse bride. I arrived at her house yesterday, and everything seemed normal. A few people complimented my costume, and I was having a lot of fun. After 10 minutes, my friend's fiance walked out in a black tuxedo and announced this was actually their wedding. Apparently, my friend saw a video of someone doing this and wanted to do the same. He asked us all to go to the backyard for the ceremony to begin. I went straight to him. I asked him if I should quickly go home and change my outfit and that I would get back before it started. He told me it was fine since I didn't know this was the wedding. I trusted him and followed everyone outside. They got married and everything seemed good. The reception was just in their house again, so everyone just walked back inside and picked up where they left off. I tried talking to my friend and celebrating with her, but she kept making excuses to not talk to me. I assumed it was just because she was tired from the big day and wanted some alone time. I didn't bother bother her after that, and the party soon ended. I got home, and half an hour passed when my phone started getting notifications. I checked, and it was my friend texting me. She was cussing me out and telling me how I ruined her wedding. I was really confused and asked what I did. That only made her more angry. She told me it was basic knowledge not to wear a wedding dress to a wedding. I reminded her I had no idea it was a wedding and that I asked her now husband if I should change, and he said it was fine. She didn't respond, but I got a text from her husband. He asked why I would tell her he said it was fine. I told him he said it was fine. Then he said how I should have changed anyways, and it's my fault that the two are now fighting over this. I've tried texting her that I was sorry, and if I had known, I wouldn't have done it. I woke up today and saw her and her husband have blocked me on everything. So, am I the a-hole for not changing out of the wedding dress when I found out it was actually a wedding? Absolutely not! No, you're totally fine. If anything, it sounds like a setup. If they wanted this to go smoothly, they would have told people, hey, this is gonna be the actual wedding, so don't, do anything weird, please. And also, screw that husband trying to gaslight you just so he's, getting brownie points with his now wife. That's insane behavior. You're fine. I love when I read a headline and instantly form my opinion, but the story completely changes it. Not the a-hole. And you're probably better off without people like them in your life. Good lord. This is what you end up with when 20-year-olds get married. Not the a-hole. Hell no, you're not the a-hole. Ain't no one gonna confuse a corpse bride for a real bride. They need to lighten the hell up and recognize this is their own doing. For real, they blindside the guests into making it, oh, it's the wedding, whoa, and then get mad at you when you didn't know it was supposed to be the wedding? Am I the a-hole for making fun of a woman for being in her 40s and single? This whole saga started because my husband took my last name. A couple weeks ago, he got his workplace to change it, and his coworkers found out. About half of them think this is the funniest thing ever, and about half are deeply offended. Brenda is in the offended half, and has made that clear. He and I are in a group chat with his coworkers where we organize carpooling during the pandemic. It is very helpful to us, so we can't leave the chat. Since he changed his name, my husband and I have been dealing with a lot of dumb jokes in the chat, which we have been mostly ignoring. Yesterday, Brenda, his coworker, and I got into a bit of a spat. I messaged the group asking if someone could take my husband home since I wouldn't be back from work until late and needed the car. One of his other coworkers agreed, and I thought that was that. Brenda messages the group saying, maybe if you spent less time at work and more time being a wife, your husband wouldn't come into work with dirty shirts. I took this as a bad joke initially. My husband is a rural mail carrier, so his shirts look like shirts worn by someone in 90-degree heat on dusty roads. I do wash them, but there's only so much to be done. Me? I could make cleaning those shirts my full-time job, and it wouldn't do much, lol. Brenda. You won't be married very long if you keep trying to be the man in the relationship. I'd be embarrassed as a wife if I did so little for my husband. Me? Well, I work more hours and pay the bills, so I think he can OxyClean his own shirts if it's so important. Brenda. Maybe you should learn to take proper care of your husband, or you'll find yourself divorced. Me? I'll let you know when I need relationship advice from someone who is 42 and single. Now apparently Brenda is going around and saying that I mocked her for being single in her 40s. I don't care if someone is single in their 40s, but I think it's absolute BS that she can call me a bad wife, but I can't point out she has no frame of reference. No, you're absolutely not the a-hole. If anything, you're the hero in this story because I have a feeling a lot of people in the workplace don't like Brenda. Not the a-hole. What the heck, Brenda? Mind your own single business. Not the a-hole. I love how you responded. I can't for the life of me understand how any of his coworkers are offended over this, much less to the point they are attacking you. For real, why is it anybody's business? It's just a name. For gosh sakes, it's just a name. Not the a-hole, but be flattered. Brenda clearly has a crush on your husband. Also, his coworkers sound like they suck. They do bring up a good point. If anything, it sounds like Brenda's being a little pick-me here, oh please, I'd be such a good wife. Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister-in-law out after she threw away most of my single-use baby products and even formula? I'm 19, female. I have a 3-week-old baby girl. I do still live with my parents, but since I pay rent equally, they say I can have just as much of a say in who comes and goes from the house as they do. I've never actually taken advantage of this rule until recently enough. I have a brother who's 26 and his wife is 24. They are crunchy parents to an 8-month-old. Basically, what that is effing stupid. They use reusable wipes/nappies, think formula is the epitome of evil, baby wearing, The list just goes on. I'm the complete opposite. Pacifiers, supplementing with formula due to low supply, disposable wipes and nappies. They are completely against the products I use and often give me things like sister-in-law's breast milk in bags, disposable nappies their LO has grown out of, etc. I've used some, but it's not really my cup of tea. On Monday night, my brother and sister-in-law were minding my baby for me since it was my birthday, and my baby's father, not together, very close friends and co-parents, took me to get some dinner in one of my favorite fast food places. It was great and really relaxing. When I got home that evening, my sister-in-law said that she did some cleaning and threw out anything I don't need. This immediately gave me red flags, but they were in a hurry to get out the door and left almost immediately. When I went into the nursery, every disposable nappy and wipe pack was gone and replaced with some reusable cloth ones. Same with my formula. There was 8 tubs and all of it was gone. I'm not able to replace them at the moment, and solely breastfeeding isn't sustainable for us. I was extremely angry, and I just turned my phone off to avoid being mean to my sister-in-law. She and my brother came over yesterday to collect something they forgot, and that was when I confronted her. I told her she has to replace everything she dumped. When she said she can't afford to, I said fine, just get out and don't come back until I've been reimbursed or everything is replaced with the original items. My brother thinks I'm being a massive a-hole, and he's on his wife's side. Our parents think I'm being completely reasonable here, but they think telling her essentially not to come back is taking it too far. Am I the a-hole? Look, I don't know anything about parenting, I'm not gonna lie and say I do, but in this case, the financial damage done because they threw away all of your stuff? Yeah, you're not the a-hole, they just wasted all of your money. So she saved the environment by, checks notes, throwing away all of your supplies. Makes sense. Not the a-hole. And your sister-in-law has a screw loose. Not the a-hole. Sounds like theft to me. File a police report. She will replace. That does bring a good point. There could be potential of small claims court depending on how much the financial loss was by losing all the product. Not the a-hole. Babies are expensive. She trashed a lot of stuff that you can't get back that your baby needs. Am I the a-hole for telling my family that if they gift us money for our wedding, there will be no strings attached or we will politely decline it? I effing hate wedding culture. It's BS. My fiance and I thought we would escape that BS and money by having a small thing. Well, family started trying to throw money at us to make it bigger and more spectacular. We were surprised, but it was a good surprise. Then the demands started coming out. They wanted this, they wanted that, they wanted this person to come, these colors, dresses can't do this person has to be flower girl, this person has to be a groomsman, etc., etc. Suddenly, it didn't feel like our wedding, but an excuse for our families to have a family reunion. We put our foot down and said, thank you all for your kindness and generosity when it comes to our wedding. Unfortunately, it looks like we may not have been on the same page as the rest of you. When we were offered money for this wedding, we did not realize it came with strings attached. With so many requests and so many demands from people we didn't expect would think they had a say in our wedding, we have decided to give everyone their money back. Our understanding of what a gift is must be very different. If you would like to give us money without strings attached or requests or demands, we will gracefully accept it. But if you believe a gift should come with stipulations, we must regretfully and politely decline. This has caused an epic storm, such to the point where I have people saying they will never come to our wedding. Honestly, not the worst thing in the world. That we were spoiled, we're a-holes, etc., etc., etc. My parents are rather upset about it, but hers, who never made any demands and gave us a small cash gift, said we did the right thing. We are halfway to canceling the whole party and just absconding into the wilderness to do the wedding the way we want. Am I the a-hole? Are we? Ooh, this it's a little tricky. I do think you could have been a little bit nicer in your response to everybody, but overall, it is your wedding. If people are giving you money to, essentially reserve your wedding to have a specific thing, that's their problem, not yours. Not the a-hole. That money was not a gift. Yeah, if anything, it sounds like these people were giving you money as an investment to their entertainment. That's what we call a bribe, boys and girls. Here comes the bribe. Am I the a-hole for my response to my sister's boyfriend's brutal honesty? My female 35 sister, female 27, started dating one of those brutally honest guys few months ago. He can be quite rude and make backhanded comments about me and the family sometimes, which is bothersome. But my sister says he's not malicious, but is just the brutally honest type, and we should get used to it. I visited my parents' house to celebrate my sister's birthday, and my husband couldn't come with me because he was busy. After the party, we all sat down for dinner, and my sister's boyfriend said it was weird that my husband and I don't have kids despite being married for 6 years now. I was shocked that he brought this up, but I gave a short answer stating that it's because of infertility issues. He asked on which side, and I didn't want to answer, but my sister said it's on my side. I got uncomfortable as he looked at me for a second and said that maybe not having kids now is a good thing, because he thought women over 30 might produce defective babies due to age. Jesus Christ. I told him it was none of his business, but he said that he was just giving his honest opinion, and that's all. I, in return, told him while maintaining eye contact, trust me, if I wanted an a-hole's opinion, I would have farted. It's kind of lame, but good for you. Literally everyone at the table bursted into laughter, and my sister and her boyfriend were stunned. Few seconds later, her boyfriend excused himself out, and my sister followed, then sent me a text after they left saying I was mean and disrespectful towards her boyfriend and insulted him maliciously just because he stated his honest opinion. She also said I ruined her birthday by being petty and making her boyfriend the joke of the night in front of the family. I didn't respond, but she demanded an apology via mail as soon as possible. Mom agreed that I shouldn't have said what I said and should have just ignored him knowing how he is. I think AITA, but I'm not sure. Okay, first off, that's not how that final sentence should be made at all, that you're using it wrong. Second of all, no, you are not the a-hole. Some people just like to use the brutally honest excuse to cover up the fact that they are just the biggest POS on earth. Oh, and your sister's kinda dumb too. Not the a-hole, but sister is also the a-hole for volunteering OP's private medical information when BF so rudely asked the intrusive "whose side?" question. Yeah, it's super uncalled for the boyfriend to ask that and for the sister to just willy-nilly say it out loud. Not the a-hole. You were being brutally honest as well. He needs to keep his opinions to himself. Am I the a-hole for moving my son into a rental apartment after finding out that his dad's been canceling his job applications? My son, Aiden, 23, moved back in with us upon graduating college as my husband wanted. My husband's original plan was to have Aiden live with us for free, but stay home and help with his disabled younger brother, 16. Aiden started complaining about needing money and wanted to find a job. My husband was against this and even offered to double his allowance, but Aiden was growing tired of staying at home. So he began looking for jobs here and there for over a year, but none of his job applications came through. He'd just apply and they never get back to him. We were confused by this till recently I found out that my husband was behind all the job applications being canceled. He'd wait till Aiden applies, then he proceeds to cancel the application by impersonating him and using his email. I blew up at him for this, but his justification is that he's just trying to make sure that our younger son is cared for by Aiden, and said that Aiden has been a big help and him getting a job will affect his care for his brother. I went ahead and rented an apartment for Aiden and told him to stay there till he finds a job and starts paying for it himself. Aiden was hurt upon knowing what his dad did. My husband was livid when he found out. He called me unhinged and said that I was separating the boys and teaching Aiden to become selfish and care more about a job than family. He also said it was a huge decision for me to rent an apartment without even running it with him. He's been giving me hell about it and is calling me a terrible mother for encouraging Aiden to be selfish and self-centered. He said I needed to see and understand why he did what he did. No, not the a-hole. If anything, your husband is a freak, honestly. He's trying to just immediately push your other son into indentured servitude to take care of your younger one? No, you don't get a free babysitter, especially if you're doing it like that. Not the a-hole. Your husband is abusive to Aiden and honestly creepy in his manipulations and insistence on Aiden being Dobby the house elf. Not the a-hole. Hopefully Aiden has changed his password and maybe even set up a second secret email for job applications in case Daddy Dearest manages to access the old one in some way. Not the a-hole. What your husband did to Aiden is inexcusable. Just how does he expect Aiden to take care of his brother down the line if he has never had a career or any savings? Am I the a-hole for not giving my sister her wedding dress because she didn't invite my underage son? I, 40, male, have a sister, 30, female, who was getting married in a week. The groom proposed to her a year ago at a family dinner that left everyone speechless, but very happy for them as they are longtime companions. During this dinner, my sister asked my son, 17 male, to make her wedding dress. My son has always loved design and fashion. He took technical courses in these areas and sewing, wedding, and even his friends keep asking for his clothes because they are so beautiful. He agreed, but said that he needed time and that he would need her opinion constantly. At first, my sister was very annoying. My son drew about 50 dress designs in a month, and she only liked one, which he continued with. He sewed it with great quality fabric, which I paid for as I wanted to get involved in a certain way. For 5 months, he made several adjustments to suit her wishes, as she always complained about something. After a while, he arrived at the final model, and it was just amazing. My mother cried seeing my sister in the dress, and I confess that I almost got emotional too. The problem was that last week, my son came to talk to me about the wedding invitation that had not arrived for him, but for other family members. I thought maybe he didn't need one, but it still felt weird. I messaged my sister raising this issue, and she replied that she didn't want any underage people at her wedding because there would be alcohol. I asked if she was going to make an exception for my son, but she cut me off and said no. There are no children in our family. My son is the only minor, so I didn't see any sense in this rule for family members. And to make matters worse, my son was very sad and cried because he spent months on this dress and couldn't go to the wedding. I was very upset and told my sister that she should look for another dress as soon as possible, and she would no longer wear the one my son made. She called and yelled at me, saying I was being unreasonable and that I couldn't do this. My mother called me saying I should deliver the dress and follow the rules, but I didn't and hung up on her. Because of this, the family is divided. Many agree with me and condemn my sister's actions, saying she could only make an exception, but another part says I'm unreasonable and I'm spoiling her big day. I don't think I'm being wrong, but just rational and paying her back in kind. So, am I the a-hole? Yeah, no, open and shut case. Your sister asked him to make the dress. He is allowed to be at the wedding. You are not the a-hole. Your sister is crazy. Not the a-hole. He should go and wear the dress. Better yet, show up at the wedding and burn it. So your sister can't have children at her wedding, but use your son as child labor to make her wedding dress? She's the a-hole. Well, if he's not invited, he doesn't need to give a gift. She should pay for the dress, and if she doesn't, you're not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for barring my husband from the bedroom tonight? So here's the situation. Me, nurse, working 50-ish hours a week in pediatric ICU. Cry at least once a week because that shit is hard. My salary pays our bills. All of them. Husband, 25, male. Has a degree but isn't looking for a job. Works 2 days a week at the grocery store. Spends most of his time playing League of Legends. By the way, all events here are in accordance with COVID legislation. Today was supposed to be a good day. I had been begging my husband to swap his Saturday shift to literally anything else so that we could have days off together. We haven't had a weekend together since our wedding, 18 months ago. Today was supposed to be our first Saturday off together. We were going to go to an animal sanctuary. He starts the day by going to breakfast with his best mate, leaving before I even wake up. I wake up around 9 and realize he is not home. Call. He says he's helping his mate set up some lights and that the weather is too rainy for the animal sanctuary anyway. He gets home at 1-ish, lies around, plays some video games, promising we would cook dinner together tonight, leaves again at 5 to help the same mate with something else. I go grocery shopping. I don't drive because of medical issues, but I walk there and back in the rain. I get home, realize I've left my keys inside, call husband, knowing he's 5 minutes away. He says he will leave in a minute. I sit in the rain and the cold, southern hemisphere. 45 minutes later, I call again. He hasn't left yet. He finally agrees to come and let me in the house, so he drives up, presses the clicker to let me in the garage, and leaves again. At 10, I called to see where he is. His friend answers, says he is driving out to do something an hour away. It's 10:30. I am going to bed. I have sent him a text that I am upset and don't want to speak to him tonight and would rather he left me alone. As far as I'm concerned, if he can't value me more than his best mate on the first day off he and I have shared in a year and a half, he can go sleep in his bed instead. By the way, his friend doesn't work, so they hang out all the time when I'm at work. He is going to be upset, and he is going to tell his mate, and his mate is going to tell him I'm being a bitch. Am I the a-hole? Once again, what can I say other than you're not the a-hole? Clearly, your husband is a massive loser. If he can't spare 1 day of his 5-day weekend to spend with his wife, who is currently being a frontline hero, he can go live with his friend, in my opinion. You don't need Reddit. You need marriage counseling. I feel like that can apply to a lot of these. Not the a-hole. You deserve a better husband. Am I the a-hole for not waking up my girlfriend for her exam after I overheard her calling me me a little bit. My girlfriend has online summer courses and she had an exam for one of them this morning. I usually wake her up for pretty much everything because she sleeps through her phone alarm no matter how long it buzzes or how many she sets. She has joked that I'm her butler before, and within the context of a relationship, it's okay, so I don't mind. Obviously, I want to love my partner and try to make her life easy. However, last night she was chatting with her friends and she thought I couldn't hear. She was bragging that I'm her little bitch and I do everything for her when she tells me to, etc. It really hurt my feelings because they were making comments like, "Good, put him in his place," and she was agreeing. She specifically said, "Yeah, I'm not worried about tomorrow because the bitch will make sure I'm up and he'll probably have breakfast ready for me too." I went to bed pretty hurt by it, and come morning, I didn't bother to wake her up when her alarm started to go. She usually only gets up when someone physically shakes her, but I let her turn off her alarm and she slipped back into sleep, and I turned around and went back to sleep too. When she woke up, she was yelling at me, saying I'm an a-hole and I've cost her exam and I'm a piece of crap for what I did. Not the a-hole. Your girlfriend sounds incredibly abusive. You shouldn't have put up with that. Don't wait for any more red flags. Get out of this now. You deserve better. Not the a-hole, but you should just leave without notice. Not the a-hole. She didn't respect you. Why would you do anything helpful for her? Also, get out of that relationship. Am I the a-hole for literally showing my dad how he behaves every day when he gets home from work? My, female 16, father, male 46, is the breadwinner while mom is a stay-at-home mom. She handles everything around the house like cooking, mopping, washing, laundry, etc. I'm the oldest and I try to help, but really there's only so much I can do while my dad just gets home at the end of the day and literally complains about everything, like how the carpet isn't clean or how the food is cold. As a result, I'd have to listen to a huge argument daily between him and mom. It's exhausting, but honestly, I think that my dad is in the wrong here. I tried talking to him to get him to see how his behavior is, but to no avail. So what I did was pick a day off for him and pretend to act like him. I put together an outfit that looked like a suit and put black tape over my lips to look like a mustache. At 6 p.m., I went inside the house, shouted, "I'm home!" Then sat next to him in the living room and started kicking my shoes while complaining about the state of the house at the top of my lungs. He glanced at me confused, asking what I was doing. I ignored him, then started yelling about the carpet being dirty, shower not ready, the kids needing to be quiet, and so on. He kept staring while mom and my siblings laughed. My youngest brother kept pointing towards me saying, "This is Daddy." I then proceeded to yell about dinner, then berated my mom for not preparing it before time. My dad stopped me and in a serious tone asked what I was doing. I turned to him and said, "What? Can't a man effing rest after working long hours?" in the most macho voice I could muster. My dad got the hint because this was the common phrase he uses daily. He went quiet and avoided looking at me. I stopped the act and told him I was trying to show him what he's like every day when he comes home from work. He said nothing, just went outside and refused to speak to me. Later, he went on about how I mocked and invalidated him, that he does work hard and me doing this was disrespectful and invalidating. Mom said it was funny, but also thought I hurt my dad's feelings and I could have gotten the message across some other way instead. Am I the a-hole? Ooh, this is a bit of a thinker, huh? I will say, not the a-hole. I don't think how you went about it is the most tactful way, though it is hilarious. Not the a-hole. You held up a mirror to his behavior, and he didn't like what he saw. That's on him. I hope he gets the message. This is absolutely hilarious and well-deserved, and sometimes people need to see how they're behaving reflected back at them to truly understand. Good job. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Also, you're a delightful human. 10 out of 10. Am I the a-hole for getting upset with my husband after he told me nothing will change while I am pregnant? Throwaway account. So me, 26, female, and my husband, 28, male, who I'll call Jake for this story, have been together for 5 years and married for 3. We've recently started trying for a baby as we both felt like that was the next step in our life together. And 3 weeks ago, I got a positive test back. We were really happy and told our families, and now my mom and mother-in-law want to throw a big baby shower for us. It was just super good news all around. Well, 2 nights ago, me and Jake were getting ready for bed when he reminds me to go through the house and make sure all the lights are off. Now, he can be a little lazy at times, and it has become a nightly routine for me to make sure all the lights are off that he leaves on before we go to bed. I wasn't feeling very well and asked if he could just do it since he wasn't doing anything and was literally standing by the door. He then tells me me, "No, this is what is expected of you every night." I was a little hurt, but I didn't want to fight with him, so I just did it. When I came back, Jake goes on this very long and unprovoked rant saying things like, "Just because you are pregnant does not mean anything will change," and "You are still expected to cook, clean, and do all the chores every day, because how can you be expected to be a mother if you can't handle a little work?" He wasn't yelling or anything, he was talking to me quietly like I was 2 inches tall. I was shocked because I had never heard him say anything like this. The rant went on for about 30 minutes before I interjected and asked, "Well, what do you plan on doing to help me with all of this?" He then got extremely defensive, saying he works his butt off at his job to provide for me and what is going to be our future children. For context, I don't work at the moment. My job was not paying enough to justify me going, so I am a full-time college student. He ended up saying that it doesn't matter how I feel physically or mentally, it is a mother's job to push through, and if he helped and babied me, I wouldn't be a good mother. I got extremely upset and started yelling, and I said that, "I wish I would have known this is how you felt before I got pregnant with your baby." There was a moment of silence before he started crying, and he left for the night to stay at his mother's house. He hasn't been back yet, and my mother-in-law and sister-in-law have called me, berating me, and saying I broke Jake's heart with what I said, and I need to apologize immediately, and until I do, he isn't coming home. I don't know how to feel. So, am I the a-hole for yelling at my husband after he said he isn't helping me with anything during the pregnancy because it's a mother's job to deal with it? Once again, I must say, not the a-hole. Marriage counseling, good, maybe, or divorce, that's always an option. Girl, get an abortion and a divorce ASAP. This man just told you who he really is, and things are about to get a whole lot worse. Run. Not the a-hole, but YTF did he start crying? Is he mentally stable? After this whole exchange, I'm gonna say probably not. Would I be the a-hole if I ask my pregnant wife to move out because she and her best friend decided to test my loyalty? Oh god, what does this even mean? My wife is pregnant with our daughter. Initially, we were really happy and excited about it, but then she started acting like a nut job. She gets angry and irritated for small things, insults me when she doesn't like the food I make, starts acting insecure, and accuses me of losing attraction for her. For example, she wanted to eat chicken sandwiches for dinner last week. Well, I made chicken sandwiches, so she eats all the sandwiches, leaves me nothing, and told me that they tasted like crap. I wasn't pissed because she left me nothing, but if she didn't like them, why did she have to eat everything? When I asked her this, she told me that she was hungry. Okay, fine. She does this every time. Eats everything I make and calls it crap. I don't argue with her because I work for more than 80 hours a week and I really want to have some peace when I'm home. So, yesterday, a random girl starts at flirting with me after the gym and asked me if I wanted to meet up with her for some drinks. I rejected her and told her that I was married, and when I got home, my wife started to hug me and apologize. When I asked her what happened, she told me that her best friend suggested a test for my loyalty. So they asked a mutual friend to flirt with me and asked me out, and I passed. Yay! I'm really pissed. I'm done with her antics. Would I be the a-hole if I asked her to move out? Oh, geez. Okay, I don't really know about this one. Yes, you would be the a-hole if you kick her out during the pregnancy. I think the best course of action is, fully communicate with her, and if she can't handle it, then, maybe the problem solves itself. She'll leave. Yikes. Might I suggest some couples therapy first? What she did was clearly an A move. Though I don't think you'd be in the right to have her move out while pregnant. Not the a-hole. That is highly manipulative behavior. I hope this is just a side effect of pregnancy hormones, but if she does things like this all the time, your marriage will be in trouble. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife's friend she is too old and ugly after she repeatedly asked my 19-year-old son to take off his shirt? He was getting uncomfortable. My family had a small get-together at my house. One of my wife's friends was over. She is unmarried. I think she is 45 to 47. We aren't too close to her since she lives pretty far away. She was over our house and she started complimenting my son. My son is 19. It starts off innocent, but as time goes on, it gets more and more crossing the line. When we were out on my deck, she starts telling my son to take his shirt off. What's the point of going to the gym if no one will see it? My son is visibly uncomfortable and tries to shut her down. She repeatedly is asking and is getting more aggressive with it. I interject and I am like, "Hey, Kathy, I think you're a bit too old and ugly for my son." This got her upset really quickly, and she excuses herself to the bathroom and starts crying. My wife goes to comfort her, and then later she leaves. At the end of it, my wife is super angry with me for saying that I should have said, "Hey, Kathy, looks like you had too much to drink," or something else. I told my wife that Kathy, by the way, this is not her real name, works a corporate job, she has had training on this, and that she knows better. And our son was uncomfortable. He is 18 plus, but he doesn't know how to deal with an adult, let alone someone saying that in our house. I told my wife flat out that if I was to invite a guy friend and he was to ask to see our daughter in a bikini, my wife would have called the police. She says it's different. I tell her that I was way kinder to Kathy than I would have been had a guy said something like that to our daughter. And I told my wife that Kathy needs to apologize to my son before she can ever come into our house again. Overall, I think I was fair. If Kathy said it once and I said that, I think I would be the a-hole. But the fact she kept repeating it, that's why I said it. And I wanted her to get the message that yes, I am upset. That's why I included the ugly part. Alright boys, pack it up. We got another easy one. Not the a-hole. Kathy is a creep, and I mean maybe you could have not called her ugly, but whatever. Not the a-hole. Double standard, no more. I wouldn't let her around my boy anymore. I would be livid if a husband's friend was telling my daughter the same type of things. Everyone sucks here except the son. Your friend for sexually harassing your son, you for bringing her age and appearance into the picture, and your wife for saying it's different because it's your son and not your daughter. Yeah, that is kind of a weird thing for the mom to say is, "Oh, it's different." Like, no, it isn't. It's still your child. Doesn't matter male or female. They can be harassed. Not the a-hole. She should know better. You could have probably said you're acting ugly, RN, but creeps' feelings don't matter. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend her parents bought her house, not her? Backstory. I, female 28, have a friend, female 28, who purchased a house late last year. It's an awesome 2-story house, and I've been over there plenty of times to help out with moving/decorating and for hanging out. As mentioned in the title, her parents purchased the house for her and her partner. I truly have no issue with this, as the housing market is terrible for buyers, so more power to them for being homeowners. I recently, unfortunately, inherited my parents' house, which is 3-bedroom, out in the sticks. The issue: we went appliance shopping because most of that stuff in the house was 10 to 15 years old. We were standing with an employee who I had asked to recommend some smaller items like toasters and kettles when the employee asked if I was moving out as general chit-chat. I told him I was moving, and he asked whether I bought or rented. I told him bought because it was just easier and less awkward than telling him I inherited the house. He told me that was cool and began talking about the toasters again when my friend cut in that I had inherited my house, not purchased it. The employee went quiet and I gave her a "what was that?" face. I was taken aback. She continued on saying, "Yeah, I purchased my house." I asked, "Does it really matter? I'm here to buy some kitchen appliances, not tell this guy my personal issues." She grinned and said, "It's just for the record," which made me more confused and annoyed. You can probably see where this is going. I replied, "Oh, okay, then if it's just for the record, your parents purchased your house for you." The employee quickly retreated and she walked outside of the shop. I caught up with her and she said I was a massive a-hole for pointing out she couldn't afford to own without her parents' help. I returned with a very similar, "My parents also helped me with getting a house too, just in a really terrible way." My partner agrees with me, saying that she's the one that opened that door, but our other friends are split almost 50-50. If you don't want the smoke, get out of the kitchen. I don't know if that's the phrase. Whatever. Not the a-hole. Your friend is crazy, because like, why try and do that to a random employee? Not the a-hole. She doesn't get to be catty and look down on you for how you each got your homes. It seems like an odd disconnect that she feels superior about it all. Not the a-hole. Your friend started the "let's tell the truth" game. Not your fault if you've played along. That poor retail employee. LOL. Honestly, they're the true victim in all of this. Ooh, another day of unhappy couples. But that is gonna do it for this time. Gonna quickly say sorry for the inconsistency in accents. My brain doesn't work. Thank you all once again for watching. My name is Brandon, and I will talk to you another day. Bye.